inner creation, from your own passion, from your own resonance inside of you.
You're not afraid to fail in the same sense. Something is going to come out, and we don't know what that is, and that's the whole point.
And from within, you change it and you go, wow, that was possible. I'm capable of doing that.
Your unique expression, and then you embody that, and then it becomes effortless, and then it just flows through you. Hello everyone, and welcome to the third official episode of the Internal Alchemy Podcast with me, Sara, and my husband, Simba.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Simba.
Hello.
So today's episode is about living legacy. So I'm actually going to turn it over to you straight away and allow you to explain the concept of what you mean with this topic of living legacy.
So many times when we talk about legacy, it's about what you leave behind when you die, right? Like it's a bit of a morbid topic. I think legacy is really a result of the frequency from your lifestyle. The things you do, the things you don't do, the practices you do, the food you eat, the food you don't eat, what you drink, and so on. Everything creates a certain resonance, a frequency in you, a certain energy, vibration, right? Like when someone is super happy and playful and cheery, you start to feel it in your own body, usually, right? Unless you're in a really bad mood and you might not like it, but you can feel energy from one person to another. Exactly, like the Grinch. No, you're not happy, right? But you can feel frequency like this. You can feel this rhythm inside of you. And when I look at legacy is really living in that frequency. And that frequency becomes strong enough that when you're not around, just looking into that frequency and doing those practices, you are reminded of that legacy. So when I look at a legacy, it's actually not something that has been, it's something you live in. Yeah. It becomes timeless. And I think a legacy for me, I started with martial arts. Like I grew up with my father doing Kyokushin karate and Qigong. And Bruce Lee was always a great inspiration for me, a source of inspiration. And he died quite young, right? Like I barely think he made it to 40s. I think it was like mid-30s or something. Yeah. But the legacy he left behind, it was through how he lived his life. And one of the things that he said was, this old quote, right? No one really knows what was said because, I wasn't around, but he said something in the style of, take what's useful and discard the rest. Meaning, don't hold on to something just because someone has taught you that and said this is how you should do. Try it out for yourself. If it works, it's useful for you. If not, you have a wisdom and experience of what that is. So when I'm looking at a living legacy, it's ever changing, it's growing, it's evolving. It's not set in stone that this is how it's supposed to be, and you decide your legacy before your time is even up, right? Like your legacy will kind of be after you're gone, and hopefully someone will pick that up and continue it. And I think that is based on the practice, how you live your life and the frequency you can emit inside of yourself, like you were jokingly saying, that you become the Grinch, or do you feel positive and you kind of lift everything up and move it forward? Those are two very different legacies.
Yeah, because we're talking about being a living legacy. So it's not, so we're moving away from the topic or the angle of legacy as, after we are gone. But I really like what you talk about, that you take a number of things and you put it together and initially, or not initially, but you make it your own. And that's what we're talking about, taking multiple things. I mean, that's really how we met also through the martial arts, and because we were both training MMA, and MMA is also a compilation of different styles, same as Bruce Lee did. So it's we have it in our blood to take different things and putting it together and making our own. And internal alchemy is the same, where you take multiple different trainings and you put it into one modality, and then the legacy, the living legacy, becomes the essence of how you live from that place. Does that make any sense?
100%. I think a living legacy is where do you draw your inspiration from? Where do you draw your energy from? And a big part of what I'm seeing today in society is that we're drawing energy from our own life source to create things, to put things out into the world, or to accomplish things. And that's great when you're young, because you still have a different growth phase, right? There is a surplus of energy because your body is constantly being fed with energy, right? But it comes to a point where it peaks, and it's not like you just lose energy, but naturally, your life force changes as you age. And then it's a matter of co-creation. Because you might, of course, you can have high frequency and life force in you, energy levels until you're very old. But I think when I look at something sustainable, it's really about how can I co-create with things and not just use my own energy, my own life force. And that really comes down to how you live your life. If you live your life from an idea, or if you're embodied. And if you're embodied, everything you do becomes a practice, and that practice leaves a footprint, which becomes a legacy usually. So when I look at a living legacy, it's really of a practice that you do, whether it's your lifestyle or your work, but not that I put on a hat now, I go to work and I'm gonna smile, I'm gonna do this, and I go home and I'm cranking, I do this. No, I have this lifestyle philosophy throughout my day, but I might show up in different ways depending on the capacity I'm operating from, or the needs or responsibilities I have in different areas of my life. But it all comes down to a practice, and it all comes down to how am I living that practice in an embodied way, not because I decided to, not because I forced myself, or like you look at discipline today, people say discipline is the ability to continue long before motivation has gone, or all of these things. And there's a truth to that, but I think being able to listen to your body, for instance, is going to last you a lot longer, and it's going to be discipline, motivation, inspiration, all of these things, commitment, like it's going to be all of this in sustainability once you learn how to listen to yourself and follow that. And if anything, that's the way we can operate when we're in connection with ourselves.
For me, that sounds like, discipline and kind of grit and that kind of, not philosophy, but that way of, it's like a mindset. I used to have that a lot, but I was coming from the wrong place and I was burning myself out. And I feel like that is what we are noticing in the world a lot, that people are kind of running out of fuel, and more grit and more discipline and more motivation is not really gonna, it's not gonna do it, because what you're doing is that you're drawing the energy from the organs, and once the organ starts to get depleted, they are depleted, so you have to kind of jack into your natural life force and fuel the body back up. It's like you're a battery and you're not plugged in. You gotta recharge once in a while. And when you connect with the body on a very deep level, you start to activate that. It's like the body has its own engine, but it's like a lot of people have forgotten how to do that. So we're drawing the energy and we're just running full steam. And that's, as you said, that's very, very easy to do when you are younger. But that's because it feels like we have unlimited life force, but we don't, unless you start to create that little engine inside of yourself. And what I've noticed for myself is that I can't go, it's not discipline. I need to go with satisfaction. I need to get satisfaction out of my life and my everyday things that I do. And that kind of starts up the generator again, because then when you run on a sacral energy that is fully aligned with who you are and what you believe in and what you're supposed to do and what you came here to on this planet to do, then that's part of what energizes this engine, and getting satisfaction, like deep soul satisfaction of what you do, and living in harmony with the body, with the sacred yes and the sacred no's, and being grounded and connected to the body, that activates all of this, instead of being disconnected and just running on pure motivation or will or determination. Or, I mean, for me, when you said discipline, for me just feels like a whip. I know that discipline is different as well, but it has this kind of, for me, it has a very strict energy, discipline. For me, I align much more with focus and passion and purpose.
I think it's also based on polarities, right? Because a male energy and a female energy will look very different. Hormonal wise, a male body is different from a female body. Women have a cycle which makes it not so embodied to just go against it and do things, because you start to override yourself, whereas a man doesn't have the same kind of cycle. So I think both gender wise, but polarity wise, it looks different between men and women in it, in terms of what drives us forward, right? Like women give birth to ideas, goals, to visions, and life, literally, right? So when we look at that aspect, there needs probably to be another not certification, but like a driving force, a different driving force. And I think the embodiment is a good way to listen to where is this coming from, and how does it, for me, I look for the word fulfillment, right? So at the end of the day, do I feel fulfilled? Has my body gotten to work out a little bit, do something? Has my mind got stimulated? Has my heart been filled or touched? Has, the different parts of myself, have they all got something that I can do that stimulates them or makes them feel fulfilled in some way? Not necessarily entertained or, like that you have to be rewarded for something every day, but just have I fed the different parts of myself, right? And if not, then I usually can't sleep. There's usually something like, oh, I have to do this. Okay, I've been too serious and grinding too much today. Need to have some more fun, need to do something relaxing. So I've had that since I was a kid, and I didn't know what it was until I actually started learning more about fulfillment and all these things that working balanced with the body in different capacity. So I think fulfillment is one thing. I think it's different masculine and feminine in terms of the qualities. And when I look at legacy, it all makes sense probably what we're saying. I don't think it's anything that's strange, right? But why don't we do it? Why can't we continue with something? I think most of the patterns and behaviors we have, they're subconscious or autonomous, right, from your autonomic nervous system, which means 80 to 90% you're not aware of. They're happening by default. But once you start to connect to your body and your nervous system, and you start to observe yourself and work with your body, now you can tap into 80 to 90% of the motivation for your patterns and behaviors. So you're not having to override your body to actually make a change. And I think that's kind of what you were feeling with discipline, that I'm not saying all disciplines like this, but many times it's like you decide on something mentally and then you follow through no matter what is happening and no matter what you feel. And depending on what you aim to do, you might need to do that. If you're an elite athlete and the other elite athletes around, okay, it's not a matter of health, it's a matter of a result, or if you're a soldier or so on. So there is a practical function of it in society, but thinking about health and longevity and balance, I think there is healthier ways to approach discipline that makes it sustainable for us. And when I look at legacy, I think a lot of it comes down to being able to create your own legacy. It's like, nowadays there is probably a manual how to raise your kids and courses and all of this, but back in the days there wasn't. How do you raise kids? Oh, I didn't like this that my parent did. when I have a kid, I'm going to teach them this. This I think is important for me, and this I liked what my parents did, and then that's what I will do. So you're just basically doing something. Whereas when I look at legacies, really listening to yourself and following that goes through you and creating a path forward, and maybe even sometimes challenging old narratives and stories that could be in culture, that could be in belief systems, and not just continue because, oh, we always done it like this. Well, there might be a reason for it, like the old story, why do you cook half a chicken? Why do you not have a whole chicken? Oh, I don't know, ask mother. Oh, grandma used to do it. Ask grandmother. Oh, yeah, my mother used to do it. And you go back a few generations and they will say, oh, the stove wasn't big enough for a whole chicken. It's like, and now we continue doing it just because someone has always done it in a certain way. But, I mean, part of legacy is also you love it enough so you add the best of you and then you evolve it, a practice, a lineage, a culture, right? So some things are timeless, like a ethos, like do good to others and treat others the way you want them to treat you, and all of these values that are in different religions and belief systems around the world. But a lot of it has to, well, it doesn't have to be, but I would say it's very hard for things to be sustainable unless they're contemporary. And if you look at practices or cultures or whatever we're doing in life, ultimately it's about sustaining life and happiness and joy and balance and life force. And in order to do that, I think being contemporary and following the needs of you and people at the time you're in is really what's going to create a fertile ground for that. And that's why I think, sometimes belief system, culture, legacy can stifle us. We go in and say, that's respect. It's not respectful to change something that someone else built. And I don't really agree. If you really love it, if you really respect it, you're going to add the best of you to raise it, to make it different, to allow it to evolve and grow. I think that's really the essence of a living legacy.
I really like how you brought in the polarities to show that, I mean, you are different from me. I mean, we've learned that over the years, both as people, but also as man and woman. And I feel like as I'm getting to know myself more as a woman, because I came from a lot of, I mean, I've been in the what I call now like old paradigm. It's like, it feels like a completely different lifetime. But I was living on these stress fumes and believing that I had to do more, push more, and do the same thing every day and be very rigid with routines and such. But that's a very masculine way of living. And I love that you highlighted that, because you thrive in that. You thrive when you have consistency in routines and doing the same things and such. But I don't. I feel like I have to really work on not doing that, because I have so much energy also, so it's so easy for me to fall into that, because I kind of thrive in doing things quickly, but that's like part my energetic setup and part old programming. So I have to work with that. But then as people, it's not that all women are the same either, not all men are the same either. So it's about finding yourself, because I feel like people who are really leaving a legacy, they have really found something of an essence. They have something, they came here to do something and they found it. And then they are executing that or presenting that to the world in a very unique way and in their way. And to be able to do that to a point where other people can see it and find it. And it's not that you have to be recognized for it, but it's like you have to embody it. There's something that you do that is very unique. And I believe know thyself. For me, it's the embodiment of it, and the way that you have taken internal alchemy and taking the core and the root came from the TRE and the tremors, and then merging this into your living legacy really highlights that it becomes, it's something that is coming through us. And when we can live and embody that gift that we have, and this is why you're talking to the people that you train, like other practitioners, to encourage them to become their own living legacy. And what I'm trying to say is that every single student is unique. So we all have our different energetic setups, we all have our backgrounds, we all have our gifts, we all have our purposes. But when you come in and become a practitioner, then you find your unique style, your unique expression, and then you embody that, and then it becomes effortless, and then it just flows through you. And that feels like what it is that is, what you're trying to convey in what you're teaching.
Yeah, 100%, I agree, and thank you for sharing that in that way. I think a big part of looking at internal alchemy is how can you teach it from your core? How can you make it your own? Looking at a legacy like that. If I come back to martial arts again, which was my first school or discipline, mixed martial arts is big today, right? And mixed martial arts is big because all of these styles started to compete and compare itself to each other, and they go, wow, I don't know that, let's pick that up. I don't know this, let's pick this up. And then they evolved. So they still honor their lineage and the background, but they're evolving together and to form a shape that is very different today than it traditionally was. So you can still honor the roots, but you're following the times to evolve. And I think looking at co-creating with life and not burning your own life force out, it comes down to your own expression. Like looking at creating a living legacy is your own expression where you're co-creating with life. You're not just burning from your own energy all the time. And listening to your body, being able to make the changes that's needed, expressing from your cultural appropriation, from your language, from your passion, creativity, whether it's masculine or feminine, even in you, right? There's masculine and feminine, whether you're male or female, like you have polarities everywhere. So when you can explain it and express it and teach it from you, yourself, not from the idea of you, but from the core of you, which you will learn more the more you work with embodiment. Not that I'm, as a teacher, going to say that to you, this is who you are. No, I will create a safe space and practices and platform where you can explore that on your own, and that you can teach to others as well. And therefore, it doesn't really matter what the background is, because everything you've done, you can add that in a good way, and it becomes more of you. Like, for instance, Thierry is one of the main inspirations for doing internal alchemy. And I said I come from martial arts background, and I was talking to the founder like, I want to innovate and change a little bit, but I don't know how. And I met the founder and said, just go for it. And I was like, I went to the source itself, and the source says, have fun, be creative, and explore from your own inner creation, from your own passion, from your own resonance inside of you. So that's really what I did. And from there, internal alchemy really came to be. And that's what I want to imbue into or pass on into students. It's like really make it your own. I will show you all of these things that I learned and how you can do practices for yourself to feel good and to take care of others, and knowing how to safely conduct the session for you, for others. But make it into your own, because that's when you're going to be the happiest, you're going to get the best result for you, the best result for your clients. And not even work, like in your lifestyle, in your relationships, in your health, when you're actually embodying the practice everywhere.
But that's when it becomes effortless. It's when it comes from the core and the root from you, from inside of you. And the difference, I would say, would be to just be a practitioner and just teach something that someone else taught you, or taking what someone else taught you and then you do it in your own style with your own with your own flavor, and having the word that's want to come out is like courage to do it your way and kind of mix other things in it and allow it to become your unique flavor. But I don't think that that's possible to do unless you feel safe enough, grounded enough, and know yourself enough. And because you said like creativity, playfulness, all of those things we know comes from a deeply regulated system, and then that you are in a environment that is encouraging that and really offers the platform for you to do that. Because otherwise, I feel like one of the reasons that you felt a little bit hesitant in the beginning was that you were honoring the founder, and you also honored the practice a lot, and felt like, oh, who am I to do this? Or why would I, if it ain't broken, don't fix it? Or, why would do I feel safe enough to do this? And then after the conversation, it was literally, I want you to innovate it. And it's the innovation part that comes from creativity. And creativity comes from really knowing thyself and allowing that to come through us, and that it's an exploration. And it's, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know. So being kind of allowed to do that it's something, for me, that was something that I had to find in myself. That didn't come naturally for me because I came from, the corporate and a lot of stress and a lot of like embodying a lot of masculine energy and like just push, push, push. So even back then, I was working with on advertising in an agency environment that was very creative. And I always said, no, I'm not creative. I'm a project manager. I'm not creative. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, and now I realize I'm super creative. But it wasn't until I allowed myself to go to the depth of my being that Phoenix Rising started to come through me. So that was not something that I was like, wonder if I'm going to create my own modality. No, that was a result of life and the things that happened to me and the life that I've lived and gone through. And it started to become, it's the embodiment of my own practice. What came through me from the intuitive parts of me when I really started to look at myself differently and allow that creativity to come out. And I started to have the courage to do that.
I think there's two parts to honoring and respect of something, right? One is really there's a reverence, there's like a genuine care. You want to nurture something like a source, like you're like, wow, okay, I want to honor this, I want to make it justice because it's given so much to me without asking for anything back. I want to not repay, but reciprocate. There's a flow of energy. And I think another part of it also is the idea of respect and honoring. And I think that's many times twisted in the terms of looking at it as hierarchy, because someone knows more, they have to do something in a certain way. And I'm never saying that to challenge people, but I think that's really, if anything, the message I got. It says, like with Terry, the founder said, hey, I'm great at this. This is the things I know. But that doesn't mean I'm great at all the other things. So if you are good at this, add your piece. I add my piece, you add your piece. And now together we create something that's very powerful. And I learn from you, you learn from me, that we can honor that in each and every one, the skills, capacities, and experiences, and the wisdom that we bring into something. And I think when we're safe, when we're embodied, that's really what naturally happens. I mean, just imagine you get everything you want in life. If there's still fear, then you're going to start worrying about you're going to lose it, or I'm going to keep it, and you're going to like prevent other people. And okay, then I'm still in the same narrative in my nervous system. But if I really get to the point where I work through things and I start to feel genuinely safe, there's still threats and challenges in life, but I really feel safe as a baseline. What's the next step? I want to share it with someone. Okay, I want to share it with someone more. I want to help someone else. That's the natural state that comes from us. And I think evolution is the same. When you really like something and does something great to you, then you're like, what if we do it like this? Can we do it like this? Yeah, try it out. Oh, wow, that was great. Oh, I never thought in those lines. And now we're bouncing ideas off each other. We're not competing, but we're raising each other and moving forward. So I think that is what the practice of theory in the nervous system work does. It takes away a lot of that scarcity mindset that there's not enough for everyone and teaches us to be more collaborative, communicative, compassionate, and becoming abundant in that sense that we're collaborating and giving, receiving. So if anything, that is the legacy that I feel was passed on to me, not do what I say.
No.
And that's really what I like about it. So in that essence, that's a really masterful teacher that embodies a quality like this. And I had the fortune to have a lot of these teachers, not just in theory, but in breathwork, in martial arts, in strength training, in all kinds of different philosophies and disciplines in life. And the ones that I resonated with the most were the ones that was really passionate about what's the process to get to an answer. Like if I went to school today, it would probably be a different experience from when I was younger. But when I was younger, I didn't understand why. Some classes I just zoned out. I just blue zoned. I was kind of it's like this wall here. It looks like a brick wall. I would count how many junctions there was, and I just disappear. I was gone. And I used to think, oh my God, that's laziness. Why do you do that? And it took me many years to realize, okay, there's trauma, there's stress, there's all of these things that I'm carrying in my body. But the second part I learned is also, where is the teacher coming from? Are they teaching from within, or they're teaching from the head and they are in that state? Because then they're transmitting that state to you. And I realized that people that are really passionate about what they do and they were teaching from that place, I wanted to learn what they had to do. So I started studying so many things and thought that's what I was going to do for a living. That was my passion. I realized, no. I got disappointed and I found something else. And oh, no. And I was just running around like this, like most of my life. And then I realized, no, it's not about what it is that's making you feel passionate. It's like, where are you coming from? What is your purpose and how can you live from there? And I think that, if anything, is also a legacy. So it's not really what you do, it's more how do you do it, where do you come from, and how does that affect others, and what is it that you feel when you come in contact with it? I'm not doing it for you in that sense. I'm doing it for me, and through that essence, creates an overflow that invites you in. But I'm not being selfish either. Right? Because the better I take care of me, the better I can take care of you. The better you take care of you, the better you can take care of me. And now instead of I give everything to you, you give everything to me, and I'm super tired and you're super tired, but we think we're giving the best to each other. That's a different kind of legacy. So when I look at it from a practitioner point of view, it's taking care of yourself as well and not just focusing on giving to everyone else. So a legacy for me is evolving, transformative, contemporary. There's a lot of respect because you're standing on the shoulders of a lot of people that built this space, and just for you to be able to say what you're saying today, like you could have been killed back in the days, and I understand that people have worked hard to get to the point where we are today. But I think the best respect I can have for that lineage and legacy is by adding the best part of me into it, like a seed of me, and allowing it to grow and really taking care of it from the best of my capacity. And I think when everyone does that, then the legacy and the culture, they grow with a timeless ethos, but also makes it tangible and practical, so it helps people today and not just do something that might not be contemporary, befitting us in this moment, right? And I'm not talking about specific modality. I'm just saying as a general rule that, I mean, that's basically where we're at today. Coming back to martial arts, you know, like you go fighting like this today, you're gonna get knocked out, right? No one does that anymore. What if you did it 200 years ago? That might be the ultimate strategy. Oh my God, you cannot beat that. But today, it's obsolete. Right?
Revolution.
Yeah, you can't continue doing it because you're not going to go anywhere.
Well, really, when you speak now, what comes to me is the why of why do you do what you do, and that is what is initially, you know, the essence of what comes out, and that is, I mean, for us, it's been, we came to heal ourselves. We moved from the other side of the world to really change. I mean, for me personally, I initially left to, okay, this meat suit is not working. I'm not even 40 and it's breaking down like tremendously on every like physical level, emotional level, spiritual level, energetic level. Like, okay, I'm doing this way wrong. I gotta do something, and time is running out here. So, okay, chop chop. So I came to Chiang Mai to fully change my life, and I did. And you came after 1 year after, and you were already working holistically. And I mean, I was very into the spiritual practices, to health and fitness and diet and things like that. But I felt like in the Western world, I just couldn't get any further. There was a very tight box. And that looks very different now, I have to say. I mean, when we started out, people were writing us, people from our old life were writing us and asked if we had joined a cult. And what we were doing felt very strange. And now everything that we're doing is in every gym in the West. You know, it's like, yeah, things have changed tremendously. But however, and then, so I literally completely changed my whole career, but I didn't know what I was going to do. I really took a leap of faith, and I started to put myself first because I couldn't go on living like I did. And when you and I met, I realized, okay, so you were working with this already on a holistic level, and then you started to really educate yourself. And I felt, okay, I started educating myself, but you did it as a profession. I did it for my own healing first and foremost. But then people started to get attracted to what we did, and people wanted to learn from us. And I realized, okay, I will also work with this. But the reason and the core values that we have that comes through us is, oh, I learned how to do this. Now I want to teach others, and people also want to become free in that sense, because what we did was initially the true liberation in all of these aspects, the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, the energetical. It's a liberation aspect, and then, oh, I become free, I can do what I want on a completely different level. And then it comes down to what is pouring through us is our values. Because when you become free, your life and your life force and your creativity just flows through you, even your speech, and you know, it just comes, and you start to, you know, walk to the beat of your own drum in a completely different sense, and then your true essence comes out. And what I feel that our true essence, and you a lot, is this co-creation part, that we always want to co-create. We have always looked a little bit maybe too much outside of ourselves to always co-create. We love that, and we truly believe that that is the essence of the universe, and it is. So the fact that we also believe that there is no hierarchy. We are just regular people, just really going for the freedom fully. And the result for me, I mean, the intention for me was to heal myself, and the result of that was my modality coming through me. That was not something that I planned to. That's just what happened. That was the combination of the work that I was living and what God presented to me in life. The result, the combination of that was my modality. So it is the living essence of me. And we believe that there is no hierarchy. You don't have to be this super special, famous person to be able to create your own legacy. You just go to the depth of your being, live authentically you, and embody you, and really honor your yes and your no's, and really find that freedom on every level, and you will embody thyself. And I love the combination of that we truly believe that all our students are able to do that. And we are here to make a difference in the world. I mean, we want to make the world a better place, or how you want to put it. I mean, it sounds like a cliche, but that's initially that's what you want to do with love. You want other people to be free, and the world is looking, it's not always a very nice place to be. And I know that there's a lot of people looking for that freedom, and through the internal alchemy, I believe, and I know that you believe this too, but I don't want to speak for you, but there's an ability to get to the depths of the being in an environment that is the living legacy of multiple practices coming to one. And even inside the internal alchemy, there's the creative freedom to create, because no session looks the same. No session looks the same, and no practitioner or student is going to look the same. And that is the point.
Exactly.
So that you can become yourself within the modality. So you have like a framework where you can grow. So you have the masculine framework, and then you have the feminine intuition and the playfulness and the creativity inside of that, where you can fully become yourself and add in the spices and the flavors so there's like a base recipe, and then you add yourself into it. So for me, that combines all these values of the freedom, of the nervous system, of the liberation of the self, of the connection to something bigger, to the co-creation, and the ability to become your own living legacy. And that can be, internal alchemy might just be not even the first step, maybe the third or the fourth, or the stepping stone to something else, because we're not going to keep anyone in a framework.
No, God, no.
We want to liberate people. That is the whole point.
Yeah.
And for me, that is what internal alchemy, and also Phoenix Rising for me, but we haven't launched that in the same way we're launching you, because it's still coming through me. But that's what this has done for us. So the two modalities is the essence of how we have liberated ourselves in a way that we believe is very, very beneficial for other people. And the ones that are attracted to us are going to find us and enjoy what we do, and our students are then going to, open up something inside of them that is going to make them attract the people that are going to come to them, and then so on and so on. So there's this forever unfolding co-creation on so many levels. Yeah. And then things start to become very, very interesting, fun. And that's when I start my sacral is just like, boom, like a Christmas tree, like, yay.
No, but I think you're really right, like with everything you said. And when I look at what really popped out for me was liberation. And liberation, many times, if you come from an idea or an ideology, it can look like you're trying to convert someone, right? This is the way you should do it. This is the way you do it. This is the work. Look, I did it. You have to do what I did, and it's like you can get accelerated by it, and you can get so inspired that you want to pass it on to other people, but You cannot try to pass it on as a dogma, or as this is what you, because that's not safe, that's not embodied. When I look at liberation, it really comes from within. Finding that space and those practices, like the tremors, for instance, that comes from your innate being. There's not a story. It's not because I said something. It's not because you said something. It comes from the essence of your own being, and it's trying to reorganize your mechanism, yourself, so you're safe. What happens almost always when we do these practices for ourselves with other people? Okay, I haven't been around everywhere in the world yet. I mean, I'm starting to travel next year, teaching in a lot of places, but I met people from all over the world. What is one of the first things that happens when they start to feel safe? They feel calm, they feel relaxed, their demeanor starts to change. They might be edgy or, catchy or sarcasm or things. That goes away. They just want to be friendly and be received with like that's the natural state. But the stress and lack of safety takes us away from that. So it's not like I'm trying to get someone to a place where I think they should be. No, this practice will show you what is it that genuinely wants to come through you. And like you said, this might be the first, second, third, or fifth, or you continue. I'm not gonna try to hold anyone into a shape. No, this is just passing on into the legacy and the lineage that is passed on to me, and put my best into it that I think can help me and help others, and to teach those values to students and then make it your own. As long as it's safe for you, safe for others, you're working within your scope of competency, of practice, and you know when not to work with someone, or when it's not safe for you and you might want to look for a practitioner or collaborate with someone else because there might be something that you don't understand, or you're not training or don't experience how to safely guide someone through, or collaborate with someone else. When I was a personal trainer and massage therapist, everyone was always saying like, certain conditions and diseases. Oh, you can't work with this disease. You can't work with this condition, right? When they have this condition, it's a contraindication, as you say. You should not do something with them. So, okay, naturally, we always do like a health appraisal before someone comes in, like in my last job. Okay, ask some questions, and then you have a consultation. And if I was uncertain, I said, "Oh, I see you reported this and this. How is that looking for you today?" And okay, um, would it be okay if I talk to your doctor, your physiotherapist, or the person that's, handling your healthcare in that sense, like the physician? And I called them up, or I went with them to visit in the beginning when I was new in the profession. And they all said the same. They said, no, this is not a contraindication. You just have to know when you do something, right? And then, of course, the legalities of the country and your profession and all of those things that is important. But besides that, it really comes down to, are you safe enough in yourself to lead others? Do they feel safe enough with you? Is there a resonance between you? And I think that safety is being created not by everyone speaking in the same tone of voice, doing the same exercises in the same way. Like you said, discipline. If I say, okay, let's be disciplined with this class, that might be a turnoff that just shuts your whole body down, and subconsciously, autonomically, your body is saying, this person is trying to tell me to override my own sensations. But that's not what the person said, but that might be what your body picks up. And now we rejected ourselves what the person is saying. And that happens so quickly. So when we express ourselves from our own truth, now that person can find your frequency, your resonance. And I think that's why we owe it to ourselves and others to really be who we're supposed to be, because the right people is going to meet the right people. I'm not talking about creating segregation or mini circles where we don't talk with each other. No, I'm not talking about connecting like magnets, right? We can still communicate with everyone else, but I might not ever want to hang out with everyone else, but I can get along with everyone else.
I think what I realized when you were talking about discipline again was that I feel like discipline is reinforced from the outside. For me, I'm not saying that all discipline is bad. I'm just saying that the mental image or the energetic image I'm getting is that it comes from the outside and it has a strict formula. It's like, okay, you need to do this. So when you said that, okay, if we're going to bring in discipline into the class, then everyone's going to go like into small robots. And you wait for direction from the outside. And that is the complete opposite of what I want to do. I want to awaken people from the inside, because if you get liberated from the inside, then you're going to find your way.
Oh, yeah.
In a way that, because when you liberate the physical body, the emotional body, the spiritual body, and the energetic body, you will connect with God, source, the universe, whatever it is that you call it, faith, destiny, whatever. It's like you turn on a little beacon, like beep, 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 and then something goes, oh, turned on, okay, beep, beep, beep. Then you're gonna automatically be drawn to where you're supposed to be, to where you're supposed to go, and what you're supposed to do, and what you're supposed to find, and who you're supposed to meet, and what you're gonna discover, and the experiences that is gonna take you to where you're supposed to be. And that's what I want for people, because when you do that, you have all of this, the fulfillment or satisfaction or whatever you want to call it, because we all have different energetic setups, so we're going to respond to life differently, and that's the whole point. I want people to be unique. I want people to find their uniqueness in this world and not be like everyone else. And we just know that the practices that we teach is what has done that for us. And that's the gift that we want to give. It is the liberation when it comes down to it, and the ability for people, because when you also kind of descend into the body and liberate and open up and heal yourself in that sense, you also connect with that creativity. You create, and you start to become that playful, and you're not afraid to fail in the same sense. It's like you try different things, and from that creative space, something is going to come out. And we don't know what that is, and that's the whole point. And so I look at each and every student like a little, Kinder egg, or like package, or like a gift, or a present, or, like there's something inside of there that's just waiting to come out.
Oh, yeah. I love that. And I think, everyone can't be a carpenter. There's no plumbers. Everyone can be a plumber. No one's going to farm. There's no farmer.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone has a certain function, and it's the synergy together that creates something. And I think many times, when I started coming into this, I was like, oh my God, I read the book, The Secret, and I watched the documentary, and I watched the next, and affirmation, and just, like manifest what you want, and all of these things. And I just felt like, okay, that's good. That's positive thinking, and it's great, right? How do you actually do that? How does it actually work, right? Like, I was very mental looking at it. And I think many times if you come from that point of view, it might seem like mystical, intangible, like a good philosophy for self-help to make you feel a little bit more positive if you're feeling stuck in a loop or in a traumatic cycle. But what I really would like to imbue, and what I teach in Internal Alchemy, is practical, tangible ways of making these coincidences, if you were to say them, or aspects, not supernatural, not unnatural. They are supernatural. They might not be common in most people's life, because what's common today, in my opinion, experience, is not natural, right? Like, we're using artificial things for everything. So it's really coming back to natural state in your thoughts, in the way you eat, what you drink, what you wear. Like, you come back to natural states, and these are tangible practices that are not related to dogma or religion or anything like that. Like, quantum science today is proving what has been proven in a lot of modalities and philosophies around the world. The neuroscience today, especially in the field of relational science and nervous system, like what the body does to another body, is also proving a lot of things that was taught maybe dogmatic in the past. But in internal alchemy, I don't take the dogma, I just take a practical experience or tool and teach you from different philosophies. Okay, here's an energetical way of looking at it. There's more a scientific nervous system way of looking at it. There's more a relational aspect of it. And these different fields just gives you a wider range of looking at it so you can explain it for yourself and for others in a tangible, relatable way that doesn't repel people. Because it's not that strange. It's not that far-fetched. And once you have a few of these experiences, you go, oh, I thought it was going to be this Star Wars movie, like you pick up something from across the room. Maybe you can, I don't know. I've never done it or seen anyone do it either, so I don't know anything about that. What I'm saying, it doesn't have to be that far-fetched. It starts with something we don't think we can do. We work through what's holding us back for that without forcing ourselves. And from within, you change it and you go, wow, that was possible. I'm capable of doing that. I have the capacity. And then your capacity grows for yourself, professionally, personally, and you get the tools and resources and the practice to set up a space where you and others can explore, because it all comes down to exploration. You're not broken, you don't need to be fixed. It's not about healing. Even if your health is down, it's not about healing. It's about finding what is it that's blocking the natural flow inside of your body. And you can't figure it out. Like, you invite the body in to do it through a lot of different practices. We talked about the subconscious autonomic nervous system being 80-90% of where everything is stored. Well, if you're walking around with 10-20% running the show and you're disconnected through the rest, of course you're not going to get where you want. Of course you're going to look at it as supernatural, because you're cut off from 80-90% of all your resources and the capacities is available for you. That, to me, is unnatural, but it's common and it happens. So it's not like it's, I mean, if I would watch a video like this 10 years ago, I would be like, oh my God, I'm unnatural. Oh my God, something's wrong with me. No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just looking at it as we're saying that that's the natural state. That's something that happens when we're not able to come back, but it has happened so much for so long that has become the most common state. But it's not natural because we're not designed to live in that high level of stress for prolonged periods of time. So what's common today we call natural, and I don't say that's natural, I say that's something else. We can wind up there, but we're not designed for it. So when I look at internal alchemy, is to remove the dogma and realize from within what's really happening, and how can I use that experience to express myself and show up in a natural way. And then just you showing up from that place, it's going to have a certain frequency to make people, like in a video today, don't like. I tell people, if you're going to meditate, okay, start with a guided meditation. How would I know which is the right one? The one you don't turn off, I usually say. Close your eyes, put on the voice, and it takes 2-3 seconds. No. Oh, yeah. Oh, right? Like you know straight away. There's
yeah, for sure. Like, oh, what's that voice? What's that noise?
What's that giggle? It has nothing to do with the person. It's just your body knows. It doesn't resonate. Resonates, so it doesn't. That is the essence.
But that's the point. When you learn to, when you just connect with yourself, you realize that it's that simple.
Oh yeah.
That it's the yes and the no's that's going to guide you through your life. Okay, thank you so much. That was a really great conversation, and I'm looking forward to continue to teach the living legacy concepts to our students and the people we come across.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun, especially, we do workshops in it, we're going to do master classes, and especially if you're interested in the trainings, it's going to be a lot of this that we teach, how we can become a living legacy. not a self-imposed one, but an authentic one that comes from within, like that you're really allowing it to come through, not from an idea.
And if people want to follow you and know more about you, where do they go?
You can follow me on Instagram at Internal Alchemy with Simba. You can follow me on Facebook as well if you want. Simba Stenqvist, Qveist. We will write it here below in the video so you can see how it's spelled. You can follow me on LinkedIn as well, same name. You can follow me on any of the platforms, but I think Instagram is probably the best one because that's where we update the most material and what we're doing and when we're traveling and courses and classes. So that's the easiest way to get in touch with us.
Yep. And if you want to follow me, I'm Sara Marie Spirit on Instagram. I think that's the easiest way, or add me as friend on Facebook. See you next time for another episode and another topic, and have a beautiful day and go out and liberate yourself. It's way worth it. Ciao.